Hi there, my name's Joy and I'm a splenic projector, and I kind of feel like chatting about that today. So here we are. So what I'm talking about here is just my own experiences. It's not strictly human design. I also have familiarity with astrology. I'm a Reiki master. I work with the I Ching very regularly outside of like a human design context. And well, my experiences are basically that as a splenic projector, what I do is experience the world as energy. And I also have the channel of sensitivity defined. I don't know how relevant that is to what I'm saying here, but in any case, um, right. So, what I have found is that it's very, 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 very important for me to manage my energy well and manage the energy around me well. And by manage, what I mean is I've needed to learn how to flow with it. And there's certain things that I do and don't do. For example, I do not watch the news. That's a no-brainer. Um, I am careful about who I spend time around. I know that when people make food, their energy gets imbued into their creation, this food that they're making. So I am mindful of that. I know that if I make food that a very unhappy person made, like it can mess with my mood. Um, Clothes get imbued with the energy of people who are wearing them. I used to love thrifting, and like part of me would still love to wear like thrift store clothes all the time. I mean, what, it could be better than that. Walk into a store, there's like all this stuff and clothes that are like arranged according to their color and size, sort of. And then you just like go through it and like, whatever you like, you get, and you can get a whole wardrobe for like a fifth the cost of a new wardrobe. And like it, what's not to like? However, I have found that it impacts my mood pretty dramatically sometimes. I had an experience, I want to say a couple weeks ago, maybe a few weeks ago, where I had this dress that I hadn't worn in a long time, and I loved this dress. It's so cute. I put it on and I spent the afternoon just feeling despair. I was depressed. I felt fine before that, and then I put on the dress, and I just kind of, after not too long, started feeling awful. Took the dress off after like, I don't know, maybe 5 hours, and put something else on. Started to feel fine again. I pick up the dress. How did I not notice this? This dress feels awful. And I start touching my clothes, and I'm like, and it's not just like whoever owned it before me, it's also like my past, the energy of my past environments where I wore those clothes, and my own experiences as I wore them. Like it would get in the clothes and impact me now. So I got a whole new wardrobe. And I did, and I couldn't go thrifting for it. So I had to go out and like buy all new clothes. But anyways, that's just one thing that I found makes a pretty big difference for me. Another thing is that if I go stand on the ground, I can, well, first of all, like we know we have electricity in our bodies, right? Like the electrical system of the body is definitely a thing. Electricity seeks the ground. It's not such a bizarre, like woo thing that grounding helps. Like to me, it's just I experience the difference from putting my feet on the earth so strongly that I like don't even need a scientific explanation. But I don't know. To me, it just makes sense. Besides that, so anyways, it's a little hard. I live in a northern climate, so sometimes the ground is very cold or completely snow covered. So I don't always get to do this, but when I can, I get outside at least once a day and put my feet on the ground, and that makes a big difference for me. And I find I can release energy that I pick up here and there. I can actually release that into the ground. I can do that whether or not I'm actually touching the ground. In fact, when I'm interacting with someone and they're throwing a lot of chaotic or like anxious energy at me, I just put that right into the ground. It goes right through me, right into the ground. So there's that. And I can do that like even if I'm not like actually in contact with the ground. It's just like I can feel it. Like I purposely flow the energy into the ground to like let it come through me. And it's a very effective way to not be overly impacted by the definition of other people. Like, I mean, I don't have a defined solar plexus, so non-emotional being here, and I do feel other people's emotions very, very strongly, but I found I just let it pass right out through. My openness allows for that. If I don't identify with it, if I don't come up with an explanation and like a narrative, I don't tell myself a story about why I feel that way and what I should do about it. I'm just like, oh, I feel kind of shitty, and then like let it just pass through and go into the ground. Like, who cares where it came from? It's gone now, you know? So I can really just flow with it. And sometimes it's easier than others. Just recently, I had an experience where I spent some time around somebody with a very, very, very anxious attachment style. And for 2 days after that, I was feeling this like anxious attachment energy. And I thought it was mine. I thought that my partner had said something or whatever the situation had was such that I was like upset about what was happening or not happening in my relationship. And then it clicked, like, this isn't mine. Like, obviously, why did it take me 2 days to realize this? But in any case, I just smudged the whole house, which by the way, I will come back to, but that's very effective. Smudged the whole house, and did some other things to release that energy, and I felt completely better. And yeah, I've been fine since. I am back to my like normal, secure attachment style with my partner. So anyways, another thing that really helps is just being very aware of how the things I put in my body impact me. I eat intuitively, and that helps a lot. Also, when it comes to the products that I use, you know, like for my hair, there's like just some products that work better for me than others, not just in terms of my hair, but like the way they smell, the way my skin reacts to them. This might be more related to that channel of sensitivity than to being a splenic projector, but yeah, I just know what's good for me and what's not, and like I can feel how my body is responding to different products that I use. I also focus on like my lifestyle is very simple, very healthy, like not even so much like, ooh, I know this is healthy, so I'm gonna do it, but more along the lines of health is important to me, wellness is important to me, and I'm just someone who lives in such a way that I feel good, basically. So I do things like Tai Chi sometimes, or well, Qigong more specifically. And that actually really helps me release energies that don't belong with me as well, Qigong. You know, and other types of physical activity, I'm not like a regular workout kind of person. I'm a walk sounds nice right now kind of person. I've found that if I try to force myself to do some kind of routine, it does not work out very well for me. And I'm a 1-3, so like I've had to learn this lesson the hard way multiple times, where like I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do cardio at the gym, and then I hurt myself or get sick or something like that and fall out of the routine within a few weeks. Or I did weight training for a while, same thing. You know, I'd go too hard or push myself when I wasn't feeling it, and then end up like with an injury or just feeling too depleted to continue. What else? I don't drink alcohol. That could be a video in and of itself, but I have found that my energy is just like for the purposes of this video, I'll just say that my own energy is a lot healthier now that I don't drink anymore. And it's been like 2.5 years, I want to say. And I do not miss it. I feel so much better. And I used to drink a lot, and I thought I would miss it terribly if I stopped. I don't miss it at all. I rarely even think about it. And let's see here, what else? So one of the things that human design says to do is sleep alone. I know that this is like a really, really big deal. I did warn you that I'm not a human design purist. I don't sleep alone. And I don't see this as an issue at this point. Do I pick up conditioning from my partner? Yeah, sure. And then you know what I do? I just release it like when I get some me time. I do need a lot of me time. A lot. Like right now I get like pretty much like 2 days a week, like completely alone, and I really enjoy it. But during that time, I do release, you know, whatever I don't need. And as far as like picking up conditioning from others, is that really such a bad thing? Like, isn't it more about choosing? Or when I say choosing, I mean like, you know, following your inner authority to know who's right for you and what's right for you, and following that path. And I actually find, so he has an emotional authority, and I've actually found that I have been more emotionally stable myself since I have been sleeping next to him than I ever have been in my life, because he's a like very emotionally stable person, and just what I'm experiencing here. I've had the opposite experience with others before, but because, you know, like his emotional set point is higher than the average person, and he doesn't have a lot of highs and lows. So, so yeah, it's almost like it's a stabilizing thing for me, and I appreciate it. And I also find like when we go like take the subway together, or like take a bus together, you know, I'm surrounded by all these different energies, and when I'm there alone, I'm just like sending them into the ground. It's all coming at me. I just send it into the ground, send it into the ground, send it into the ground. But when he's there, I can just like stand close to him, and he's got a lot of definition, and his energy is like a shield for me. And like, yeah, I'm picking up his energy. Yeah, it's all right. I like his energy. So anyways, um, uh, the main thing that I wanted to say in this video, I think, is just like, all right, so what I have found, and before I came here, like maybe a month and a half ago, I found I was living somewhere where the energy, like the people were lovely, but it just wasn't a good fit for me. And it was actually energetically like excruciatingly painful. It was very, very, very bad for me. I'm grateful. And it's not the situation you know what, it's not important. But I came from somewhere where energetically it was very, very painful to be there. And I had to spend a lot of time outside, had to spend a lot of time with my feet on the ground. I did so much energy work And despite all of that, I would still get overcome at times with this really painful, energy. And yeah, I'd just get swallowed in it sometimes. And I had to learn how to flow with that. And then I really just had to get out of there. And what ended up happening was my situation was such that I couldn't afford to like really go anywhere. And I just like asked the universe for help, like send help, please. Like it was a total surrender thing. And then some work came in. I do various types of consulting work and like astrology readings. And in any case, some work came in and I was able to afford a plane ticket to go pretty much wherever I wanted to go. And I didn't have any invitations. So I just sat and waited. And it was hard because I knew that if I tried to make something happen, I could, but would it be the right thing for me? And what I found was that as I sat, outside in the front yard in the property of the people that I was staying with, I found that if I focused on the flow of energy, like just feeling the flow of energy, the energy of something precedes the physical manifestation of it. And I could focus on certain energies and focus on allowing them into my experience. I don't know if it actually made a difference that I did that or not. Like, since I was a little kid, I've had this question that came up. It's come up so many times. It's like, did I dream that because it was going to happen, or did it happen because I dreamt it, or did I think about that because it was going to happen, or did it happen because I was thinking about it? In any case, whether I energetically made it happen or just recognized that it was going to happen, it's not super important. Like at the end of the day, I kind of like at this point just don't need to understand. I tend to think it's more a matter of allowing and just flowing with it than anything. But I don't know. The important thing is that I found that energy precedes manifestation, like very clearly. It's like when you're surrounded by energy that feels that oppressive and you are heading somewhere where the energy is really quite lovely, and you can feel that exact energy before you get to the new place, before you even see the new place. My partner, we had been friends for like 3.5 years before we like finally met in person like a month and a half ago. I had never seen a photo of him. So anyways, what happened was, we're talking and I'm not getting any invitations there. I'm not getting any invitations anywhere except I had one person say, well, hey, if you're in town, I'll make food for you. Come eat at my house. It was literally the only like true invitation that I had. So, so basically I'm like sitting there like in danger really, because being where I was so excruciatingly painful that it was actually dangerous for me to be there. And still just like waiting, just chilling, just flowing with events despite how much it hurt, just being with it. And knowing that this new energy was coming in and just focusing on like allowing this new energy and riding that current. But I could feel that it was not yet time to act. And so I waited. And I waited I don't know, like a month or two after I could have bought a ticket. I waited, and then all of a sudden, just like that, I could feel there was an opening. There's a book that I use for I Ching. I'm going to show you. This is the book. It's pretty good. It gives a few different translations of the traditional I Ching. And one of the things that it says in the book at various points is the way is open, or if you do this, the way will open, or if you do this, the way will close and you'll be trapped. And I could actually feel it. I could feel that the way was not open. And then all of a sudden, it just like was. And I was like, oh, And I could feel that the right thing to do was to buy a ticket for the city where I had the dinner invitation. Just so happened to be the same city where my partner lives. But it was my only like true like, hey, like I want you here, come here invitation. And that's interesting. I still actually haven't gone to eat at her house. But in any case, so I bought the ticket, even though I didn't have enough money to like, even stay in hostels for very long. Didn't have anywhere to sleep, anywhere to stay. Didn't even have much money for like public transportation. Once I got there, I bought the ticket, and then within I wouldn't say like several days, the invitation came. He invited me to come stay with him, and well, we didn't know if we were going to end up together or not, so that was fun. Very exciting time for me, flying to a foreign country and meeting somebody that I had been friends with for a long time, somebody I'd been into for like 6 months, somebody who was going to be feeding me and sheltering me for a little while in the very least, and having no idea what he even looked like. I'd never seen a picture. So anyways, I showed up, and within a couple of days we were together, and it's really quite wonderful. It's perfect. And I am recognized as a projector, or not as a projector, but as a projector, it's important to be recognized and appreciated, and it's got to be right, So I do have that here now, and I know that the traditional like advice for human design is like wait for an invitation, and then if it feels right, go for it. Listen to your inner authority. So as a splenic projector, it comes in the moment. It's not something where I need to sit with it like an emotional projector would need to do. However, I have found, like I said, that sometimes it's not about it's not about needing time to know what's right for me. It's about not acting until the right moment. It's about feeling the right time. So what they say for the spleen is that it only gives you an answer once, and if you miss it, that's it. That has not been my experience. My experience has been that if I'm tuned in, and all the energy sensitivity stuff that I do, so I can like stay present, because the thing about when energy is bad for you, when you're energy sensitive, is that it's just like another one of your physical senses. Like imagine that there's a strobe light in your face like all the time, or all the time when you're at your job, or all the time when you're around your partner, or something like that, or like an air raid siren in your home, and that air raid siren might be clutter in your home because there's energy coming off all that stuff. Or it might be, it could be your clothes, you know, it could be anything. Like, the thing about that is that when you're dealing with all this pain from sensory overload, because the energy sensitivity is just like another sense, you know, like I said, like the strobe light in your face. When you've got that going on, it's really hard to tune into what's going on, like with your, how do you know what feels right when everything just hurts? That's what I'm getting at here. So like I've said, there are things that help even if you're in a situation that's energetically very painful. Spending time alone outside is the main thing that I have found helps me. Long before I knew about human design, I discovered this. If I had an important decision to make or was just out of sorts, I could go spend 45 minutes looking at the waves crashing into the shore of the lake, and suddenly I'm right as rain and I have clarity for what I need to do. And sometimes the answer is that it's okay to just not know, and that I would know when the time was right to act. And that it's definitely been my experience. But so basically what I was saying is that I have not found that I only get the answer once and I have to listen. What I have found is that I get it anytime I tune in, but I have to be able to tune in. So, I mean, it's just my experience. And another thing that I have found is that when I talk to other people, and like I kind of feel like I'm taking a bit of a risk by even just putting this video out there because of this very thing, but when I talk to people about my situation, I'm inviting their energy and their intentions into my situation. So I'm pretty careful about who I say what to. And that has been another important thing. And also, like, everything around me is something I'm consuming and digesting, whether it's food or not. Like, the music I listen to, the people around me, the city that I'm in, certainly my home environment, my work environment, all of that has a really profound impact on me. Like, and my food and you know, what I'm drinking, that sort of thing. So I just pay very close attention to what feels right and what's conditioning me, shed anything that is not mine, and just roll with it, just flow. Being projector is like well, life, like experiencing life is like being on a stream and or in a body of water, and there's a current, and it's very much about riding the current. You know, wherever the way is open, go that way, follow the path of least resistance, you know, whatever feels right energetically. And and that doesn't mean always being in. Sometimes the energy flows through me and then look at all this activity all of a sudden, but I cannot do that regularly. It happens when it happens, and then there are days when I'm just completely depleted and I just have to, I'm like, I don't know, I'm just completely depleted. I have to just sit there and be drained and allow all of the energy to drain out. And then what happens is new energy comes in, and then I'm energized again. But I had to shed that old energy first, and I had to just stay still to allow that to happen. And you know, it's just about flowing with that. Sometimes it's like that. Sometimes different types of activities feel right. When I do an I Ching reading, it's kind of funny actually. A lot of times I know what I'm going to throw before I throw it, because I can, if I'm sitting with the energy, I can feel, which trigram or which hexagram it's going to be. And yeah, so those are just some of the basic things that I do. I think the main thing with all the open centers is to just recognize what's yours and what's not, and just like let it flow through. If it's not yours, just don't claim it. If it's not yours, just let it keep passing on through. And oh, the thing that I was going to come back to, which is I find extremely important in my experience, is that thoughts, energies, emotions literally hang in the air. If you go into a home with a lot of really depressive, chaotic, or like stagnant energy, and open up all the windows and get the air circulating through there, after a few hours, it'll feel a lot different. Now, as soon as you close it back up again, the objects and people in that space are going to put that energy right back out into it again. So, like, it's not a cure-all, but it certainly helps, like, especially in a situation where, it's your own space, and, maybe somebody came to visit, or, I daily just smudge myself in the air right around me, and my divination tools as well. But in any case, the thoughts literally hang in the air, and they will impact you. It's pretty wild. And smudging is wonderful for that. But, it's just, I use white sage for smudging, just dried white sage. And yeah, so I just light it up, and depending on what needs to be done, sometimes I'll do the whole house. I try to do that at least like once a week, or just myself in the area right around me. And I also say clearing, like I release any energies, intentions, prayers, thoughts, fears, wishes, spells, curses, enchantments, beliefs, or any other kind of influence for me that is for anything other than the divine flow of life, or that isn't mine, or doesn't belong with me, whatever feels right at the time. And also just, bless the space, bless whatever it is, the people in my life, whatever it is. But clearing, there are a lot of Christians in my life who pray a lot. I have found that clearing other people's prayers for me makes a huge, huge difference. It takes all this, I can't even explain, like, it's not exactly pressure. It's not like the kind of pressure you get from like the root chakra, but it's a kind of pressure. There's this like heaviness on me, this pressure, and then I clear the prayers, and oh, look at that, I'm, springing, there's a spring in my step, and I'm just floating through life all of a sudden, because I don't have all these intentions like weighing down on me, other people's intentions for me. Cord cutting, I've also found to be a very, very important thing sometimes. I almost feel like that could be a video in and of itself, but there are some meditations on YouTube that can use for cord cutting, if you're into that kind of thing or want to give it a shot. And yeah, I don't know, I think maybe I'll just stop talking now. Anyways, thank you for watching, and kind of interested in other people's experiences with being able to feel energetically the flow of life, and when and where it's open. Because for me, as a projector, a splenic projector, that is huge. That's how I have to navigate life. I navigate it completely energetically, and I don't need to make sense of it. I don't need to know what's going to happen. All I need to know is what the energy is doing, what feels right, And yeah, that's about it. It'll shake out. And I've got my popcorn, like, ooh, wow, this is interesting. I wonder what's going to happen. We'll see. Munch, munch. But anyways, thank you for watching.